So welcome everybody to the Study Abroad as a Biology Major information session. We're excited to have you join us today, and we're going to start with introductions. My name is Rachel Rigoli, and I am one of the advisors in the Study Abroad office. I studied abroad for a full year at Melbourne University via my alma mater, UC Irvine. And I have been working in the Study Abroad office for about 20 years now. And I'm joined by my colleague, Brian, from the School of Biological Sciences. Brian, do you want to go ahead and introduce yourself?
Yeah, I'm Brian Hamlin. I studied abroad 4 semesters in undergrad, and I've been working for the School of Biological Sciences for coming up on 2 years now. I'm happy to be here to help you out with any questions.
Perfect. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. So today I'm going to talk about the different types of programs that are available to you as a UC San Diego student. And it can be a bit overwhelming because there are a lot of different options available to you. So I'm going to break it down. If you have any questions throughout this presentation, please use the Q&A, don't use the chat, and then we'll try and answer the questions throughout the presentation. And then afterwards, we're going to open it up to questions as well. So you have 5 different options for studying abroad as a UCSD biology major. The first 2 are UC San Diego programs, so global seminars and global exchange. And then the other 2 are through the University of California, the University of California Education Abroad program. And then you can also study abroad through other UC campuses. And then you can also study abroad outside the UC system through what we call OAP, or the Opportunities Abroad program. So I'm going to break these down one by one, and hopefully you have a good understanding by the end of this session, the different models for these different programs. So the first program type I'd like to talk about is the UCAP program, and that's the program I went through when I was an undergrad. And UCAP is a system-wide study abroad program offered through the University of California. So it doesn't matter what UC campus you're from, you're going to be, you would see the same program offerings no matter what UC campus you come from. So Berkeley all the way down to UC San Diego, they have the same program offerings. And UCAP actually has 170 programs around the world in 40 countries. So it's a very large study abroad program that is open to you as an enrolled UC student. When you go on UCAP, it's like you've never left UCSD because you're going to be paying UC tuition while you're abroad. You'll earn UC credit for the courses you take, and the grades that you receive while you're abroad will actually come back to your UCSD transcript and will be calculated into your UCSD GPA. If you're on financial aid, you can take your aid with you, and UCAP offers summer, fall, spring, year-long programs. And like I said, 170 programs around the world. The other program available to you as a UC San Diego student is Global Seminars. And Global Seminars are summer-only programs where you study abroad during the summer with a UCSD professor. So you will go abroad as a cohort with a UCSD professor who will teach 2 classes for 5 weeks, and you'll get 8 UCSD units for those classes. These programs are very small. They only accept 15 to 28 students, and they're mainly made up of UCSD students. However, non-UCSD students can go on these programs as well. The other option available to you is the UC San Diego Global Exchange Program, and this is one of our newer program types for UCSD students. Global Exchange is a bilateral exchange program between UC San Diego as a campus and universities abroad. And so if you look at this list here, you'll see who we have exchange agreements with. And similar to UCAP, where there's exchange agreements with host universities around the world, we send our students to these universities, and they send students to our campus to study here. So as an exchange, when you go on this program, you'll be paying your UCSD tuition. You will be able to access your financial aid. However, there is a difference in terms of how the credit is currently works. With Global Exchange, currently you would get transfer credit for the courses that you take abroad. And you can still count these classes towards major or GE requirements, but it's currently transfer credit. My colleague, Andra, who works in our office and runs these programs, is currently working to have this changed so that it would be UC credit and the grades would go into your GPA, just like global seminars and UCAP. The other option for you, and if you like the model of potentially studying abroad with a faculty member and being a part of a small cohort and studying abroad during the summer, you could conceivably go through another UC campus to study abroad. So Global Seminars is offering 27 programs in summer 2024. So I would be shocked if you can't find a program that you like through UCSD. But let's say you don't find a program that fits all, checks all the boxes. You can certainly look at what Berkeley and the other UC campuses are offering. And most of their programs, you would be eligible to go and attend and be a part of their program. And it's going to work similarly to Global Seminars in the respect that you would get UC credit and UC grades, and you'd be paying UC tuition. So it's very similar to Global Seminars, but instead you'd be going potentially abroad with a UC Davis professor or a UC Berkeley professor. So it's just going to open up more options for you to go abroad with a faculty member and be a part of a small cohort. The last option available to you is outside the UC system, and this is OAP. This would be if you are interested in enrolling at a university overseas that we potentially don't have an exchange agreement with, or you want to go on a program through an independent study abroad provider. If this is something that speaks to you and you're not able to find programs that work for you through UCAP, Global Exchange, Global Seminars, and you decide to pursue OAP, this would open up other options to you. You can use your financial aid, but you would not be able to use your UC grant money on these types of programs. But when you're abroad, you will be paying your tuition to either the university overseas, or you'll be paying it to the independent study abroad provider. Because you'll be going outside of the UC system, UCSD admissions has to approve the courses for transfer credit. And currently it's a pretty lengthy process. So we are encouraging any students who are interested in using opportunities abroad to come speak to us very early, because it will take a while to have, all the paperwork go through. Hopefully you'll find something within the UC options, but we're happy to talk to you about OAP should you decide this is the best fit for you. So I wanted to talk about financing your study abroad experience. We want to make sure that study abroad is affordable and accessible for all students. Study abroad should not be only an option for a subset of students on campus. So if cost is a concern for you, make sure you talk to us about it. The good news is financial aid will go with you on academic credit-bearing programs. If you opt for a summer option, the aid does differ than the way financial aid is packaged for study abroad if you go during the school year. The good news is we have an in-house financial aid advisor. His name is Eduardo. He's awesome. He works with students to explain how financial aid can be used for study abroad. He's doing a lot of upcoming financial aid and scholarship workshops. So if you are on financial aid, make sure you check out our homepage on the Study Abroad website. You'll see right front and center an icon that says Fall 2023 events, and he has numerous financial aid info sessions still coming up for this quarter. Once you've identified a program, you know when you want to go, he will also meet with you to talk about what your estimated aid package will look like. So he's here to help you navigate the whole financial aid component. The other thing I want to mention is there's a lot of scholarship money out there for study abroad. This is money that you would not be able to access unless you're studying abroad. And we have a very robust scholarship database on our website, in addition to a really great page about financial aid. So take a look at our website. You'll be able to read about scholarships. We do writing workshops on writing your scholarship essay during winter quarter. We're here to support you in the whole scholarship application process as well. And then I just have a note here that says affordable program options. A lot of places around the world are less expensive to live in than La Jolla. And so depending on where you want to go, your study abroad experience could be, equal or less expensive in terms of the day-to-day cost of living. So I have this image here because I just want you to know, as I'm talking about these programs, and I'm going to be moving on into naming some specific countries and programs, etc. in the next slides. I want to show you, this is just a screenshot from our website, and it shows you on the left-hand side, there's a students tab, which you can access it on the top as well. And you'll see on this homepage, which is Find a Program, you'll see links to the Global Seminars page, the Global Exchange page, UCEAP, the other UC campuses. So everything you need is on this page. And once you start clicking on these program types, it's going to go even into more details on the different information, the kinds of courses that are offered, etc. Also on this left-hand side, if you just look below, you'll see there's a how to apply link, events and deadlines, financial aid and scholarship. So we have a lot of information on our website. So I encourage you to spend some time researching the different information that we have available to you. This is just a screenshot from the UCAP website. Every program page has a similar page where there's a program at a glance. This is from the National University of Singapore. This is one of our exchange partners. And you can see what the minimum GPA requirement is in order to be eligible for this program. You'll see in this box that you need to have at least sophomore standing by departure. Courses are taught in English. But on the left-hand side, over under the program details, you'll see dates and eligibility when you click on that link. Under academics, you'll see a lot of course information. We link to the host university's catalog. We also share information on courses that students have previously taken across the UC system at this particular university. You can read about the housing. You can see a cost calculator to see how much the program will cost. So for any program that you're interested in, whether it's UCAP, Global Seminars, Global Exchange, there's always going to be very detailed information that you can review. So now I want to pivot a bit and talk about the different types of programs that you could consider as a biology major. So I'm going to get a little bit more specific and suggest programs that would be good for you given your major. So the first type of program would be to consider an immersion option. And immersion programs are basically where you're immersing yourself in the location where you're studying. So typically it means that you're going to study at a university abroad, and you're going to be taking classes with local students and living maybe with local students. We realize that you may not speak another language fluently. And so the majority of the immersion programs that we offer are going to offer classes taught in English. Sometimes depending on the location that you go to, if you're taking classes in English, you may be at a university, with students like in Spain. Maybe you're taking classes in English and you're on a university in Spain. But because, the Spaniards are going to take their classes in Spanish, most likely you'll be taking classes with other international students. So when you go to an English speaking country, you're going to be taking classes with local students. If it's a non-English speaking country, most likely you'll be with other, international students. If you have advanced language skills, like you grew up speaking French or whatever language, or you've studied another language here at UCSD, and you want to take classes in that language, this is something that would certainly be available to you if you meet the language requirement. So for UCAP, I have a list here of locations that are going to offer courses in biology in English. So they should be pretty obvious because they're all English speaking countries, at the top. So Australia, New Zealand, in Africa, Botswana and South Africa, England, Scotland, Ireland, a lot of university options in those three countries. Hong Kong and Singapore, English-speaking universities in those two locations, so a wide variety of biology courses. and then Canada and Barbados. Now, the other list of countries, Korea, Iceland, Denmark, Sweden, the Netherlands, and Norway, those are all locations that UCAP has exchange agreements with universities in those locations where they have a decent amount of course offerings in English in biology. So they've made it on my slide because I could recommend those locations. It doesn't mean that there's not other places like potentially in Europe or Asia that you could go. It just means they didn't make it on my list because maybe they only have a handful of courses in English in biology. So I just put the ones that, have a significant course offering in English for you. And if you picked one of these locations, it'd be pushing yourself. You would be going to a non-English speaking country. You're going to have to grocery shop or, navigate the system, the bus lines, all of that, not in English, but then you can take your coursework in English. So it's something you could consider. The other option for immersion programs would be to consider global exchange. And like EAP, global exchange, as I mentioned earlier, are partnerships with universities overseas. And global exchange is one of our newer options for UC San Diego students. So we're just really building out what we have to offer. But for biological sciences, I would recommend our program in Switzerland. There's a couple partner universities in Korea that you could study, Italy, as well as Denmark Technical University. Those would be all excellent options where you could take classes in English at a university. The next type of program I'd like to talk about would be special focus programs. And special focus programs, as you guessed it, have a theme or a topic. And so for bio majors, the special focus programs I'm going to highlight are related to public health, neuroscience, medicine, environmental studies, science, marine biology. And when you go on a program through UCAP that's a special focus program, what they're going to do is they're going to give you a short list of classes that create that topic or theme. Or they're going to tell you exactly what classes everybody's taking. So in the Netherlands, we have a program that's focused on biological and life sciences. So you could study at a university in the Netherlands, but EAP has said, here's a list of courses that you can pick and choose from, and they all relate to the topic of biology and the life sciences. In Costa Rica and Australia, these programs are focused on tropical biology and marine biology, and they're not connected to a university. They're run by local faculty, and those classes are taught by faculty and instructors from that country, and everybody's taking the same classes. So when you go on the EAP website and you look at, let's say, the Australia program, you'll see specifically what courses you'll be taking on that program. There's no picking or choosing. With the Dominican Republic and Mexico, similar, where you're going to have set classes, and these programs focus on public health and community health. And these are just an example of some of the programs that I would recommend for biology majors. The other special focus program that may be appealing to you, especially if you're a first-year student, is to try and wipe out your physics or OChem series over the summer through UCAP. And the physics series is currently still being reviewed for approval for summer 2024. So we're waiting on that. But if it's approved, you would be able to work on Physics 1 at the University of Sussex in England, and it would be an 8-week program, and all you do are physics classes. Actually, I take that back. I think you take a culture class as well. They recently changed the program. And then if you wanted to try and work on your OChem series and wipe that out, that's been approved by chemistry on campus. And you would study at the University College Dublin in Dublin, Ireland, and take classes with other UC students taught by Irish professors from that university. The other special focus programs are global seminars programs. So I already mentioned global seminars. You'd be going abroad with a UCSD professor. There are 27 programs, but these 6 programs that I have highlighted on this screen have been approved in the past for biology major credit, or they're new programs, and you would petition to have the courses approved for your major. And so I wanted to highlight these 6 programs. There is a new program in Tokyo, which I'm really excited about because I know Japan's very popular for our students on campus. And that's going to be taught by a Dr. Lowe, who is a biology professor. And he's teaching genetics and hopefully it's approved for DEI, a Build 660GS. I think the course titles may have changed, so you'll have to check the Global Seminars website. But these programs are biology related programs. And so take a look at the Global Seminars website. There is a QR code at the top of the image that will take you to their website. They are doing Meet the Professor sessions where you get to hear from the professor about the classes, what excursions they're planning on doing. And you can answer any questions about the application process, all of that. So take a look at the Global Seminars website if any of these interest you, or even if you want to try and wipe out your MMW or Revell, Hume classes or whatever. We don't require that you do biology programs. You could certainly consider working on some GE requirements as well. So the other option for you as a biology major would be to consider getting outside the classroom. So EAP has several research-focused programs where what you're doing is you're going to lab and you're doing research either under a professor where you're helping them with their research project, or you're doing an individual research project. A lot of the research programs through UCAP are offered during the summer. However, like Japan and Sweden, those programs are built into the program where you can do research and take classes. The other thing you could consider is doing internship abroad. There's not as many internships outside like the social sciences and the humanities, but I've listed here with the EAP, they offer summer internship opportunities, and the ones where they've had some life science related options are in Berlin and South Africa, Singapore. And then during the school year, the University of Sydney in Australia offers an optional internship program as well. And I don't know if you know this, but biotech is very big in Australia as well. Global Exchange Plus, that is a little bit different than just our regular Global Exchange where you go during the academic year. Global Exchange Plus, which is the information is on the UCSD Global Exchange page. These are our exchange partners that have opened up some summer options that are either maybe research or internships. And we have limited spots on these programs, but I just wanted to throw that out there that could be available to you as a biology major. The other campus that does a really nice job with some health and vet science type options is UC Davis. So they have, and I haven't checked recently, but in the past, they've had opportunities to get academic credit while volunteering in a clinic abroad. They also have run veterinarian science programs where you can go and work at an elephant sanctuary in Thailand and get credit, get the hours you need, that when you apply for vet school, you'll have those hours that they require. The other option is to consider field studies. So this is typically like my EBE students that are interested in these kinds of programs, but you don't have to be EBE to do a field studies program. I've had human biology, general biology go on like our Costa Rica program and the Australian Marine Biology program. When I talk about field studies, what it means is you're going to be outdoors. You're going to be like doing research on a project that is outdoors. I had the human bio major who went to Costa Rica. He did a research in an individual research project focused on mosquito-borne illness. And so you don't have to be EBE, but you're going to be doing research and outdoor learning. So they're going to like have class and they're going to be like, okay, everybody gear up. We're going out and we're going to do a hike or, so you have to be open to being out in the outdoors for the field studies programs. So that's a lot of information. Hopefully your heads aren't spinning with all this information. And just remember, this is the first step in the whole process, but we're here to help you along the way. Selecting a program, sometimes it's difficult for students to figure out which program is the best fit for them. And I can guide you, but it's really, you're going to need to think about what are your personal, what are your academic, what are your career goals? Where do you see yourself living? And that's going to make you happy on a daily basis. So in terms of the type of program and experience, you really need to think about, do you like the idea of being at a university, or do you like the idea of being with UC students and maybe on a field type program or an internship? Who do you see yourself surrounded by on a daily basis? Like, do you like that global seminars model where you're with mainly UCSD students? In terms of academics, we don't require you to do biology abroad. It's important that you work with your advisors to plan out your time here at UCSD. I had a fourth year student who was biology. He went to New Zealand. I asked him once to come to one of these sessions. And he's like, I did all GEs. I saved GEs for New Zealand. I did all my bio before I left. So you need to think about what you want to do while you're abroad. If you've come in with credit and you like AP credit or community college credit or whatever, or you've been taking 4 classes per quarter and you're ahead of schedule and you want to go to Italy and study Italian, by all means, it's whatever works best for you, with you getting, graduating and not delaying your graduation. I already mentioned we want to make sure you're happy on a daily basis. Where do you see yourself living? Do you see yourself in an English speaking or a non-English speaking country? If you hate the snow, don't go to Sweden in January. If you hate the heat, you probably don't want to go to like a hot country. Maybe like you need large city, you need to be able to go out all the time. That's okay. I've had students tell me, like, I grew up in San Francisco. I don't want to go to a big city. I want to go to rural New Zealand. So think about what it is you want from your experience. You'll also need to think about timing and duration. Do you want to go abroad, for like just a summer? Do you want to commit to a full year? Or do you want to go during the school year? Some students come to me and they're like, I'm an RA, I have to go during the summer. Or students will come to me and they're like, I work during the summer, or I have an internship, I really want to go during the school year. And I can tell you that your department, biology, is very supportive of working with you to make sure that you can study abroad. In terms of cost, take a look at the cost calculators or budgets on every program page. But like I mentioned, if cost is your number one concern, you'll probably want to like focus on cost when you're searching for programs, and try and focus on the ones that have a lower cost of living. So I did want to mention again that there's a lot of events happening this quarter. I already mentioned that the financial aid and scholarship info sessions are still happening throughout this quarter. The Global Exchange advisor is doing an info session tomorrow that you can register for. If you can't make it, she'll send you the recording. Global Seminars is just starting out. They're Meet the Professor sessions. So attend the sessions, learn more about the programs that are out there for you. You can use this QR code or take a picture of it. It will take you to that page. And then I did want to give a shout out for our Study Abroad Fair. It only happens once a year. It's coming up on Monday, October 23rd. It's taking place in Town Square, which is right near the Student Services Building and Price Center, where the Triton statue is. UCAP is going to come down from their headquarters, which are in Santa Barbara. They're going to be there to answer questions about EAP. Global Seminars is going to have faculty and professors there to answer questions. We're going to have a global exchange table. So come out. It's a one-stop shop to like get all your study abroad questions answered. So now I'm going to go mute myself, and I'm going to turn it over to Brian.
Yeah, so for more of the biology specific information we'll get into for like the next 10 slides or so. But the first question that is pretty common is just, how will you fit time abroad into your schedule? And as Rachel mentioned, some students will, just pack in all of their major requirements beforehand and plan to do the rest of them afterwards and just focus on GEs and the cultural experience while they're abroad. But there are plenty of options to continue working towards your major requirements while you're abroad. So the easiest way to do this is to take classes that satisfy your upper division biology electives while abroad. There are a lot more of those courses than there are specific major requirements, like a class that transfers as like BIM 101 or 110 specifically. But there are still some out there. But I would try and kind of think more about, okay, I'm going to save my electives for when I'm abroad. And it really kind of depends on the program that you go into. But we can definitely help you out with that, especially once you decide where you want to go, help you figure out what classes to take so that you can get major credit. And we'd be happy to have you come in for long-term planning. And we'll kind of touch on that a bit in another slide or two. But yeah, we can go to the next slide. This is a page that a lot of you might be familiar with. This is like the human biology major requirements page. As you can see, there is a requirements page for all 7 of our majors. But if you look down at the bottom of these pages, you'll see that there are sample plans with study abroad. And so if you go to the next slide, you'll see what that plan looks like. And for these plans, it's kind of like, I guess, like the best case scenario. If you were to study abroad for an entire year, how would you fit that in? And as you'll see, students will complete their lower division requirements by the end of their sophomore year, as well as start at least one upper division class before going abroad. And then while you're abroad, trying to get at least 3 major classes done. Because in general, well, basically for all of our majors, you're going to have 12 upper division courses you need to complete. So as you'll see here, you got the ICD 100, you got 3 electives here, that's 4, and then 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So it works out if you're able to get a lot done your first 2 years, that you only need to get 3 upper division major requirements done while you're abroad if you're gone for an entire year. Obviously, this will be different if you're going to do summer classes to get ahead or summer programs abroad. Then you won't even need to have it be this compacted. But as you can see here, it is very doable, and we highly encourage students to study abroad if you can. And then if you go to the next slide, we'll look at the courses taken outside of the School of Biological Sciences. So there is a tool. This is kind of like the landing page, but this is like on our course info website at the very bottom. You'll see where this big red arrow is. You click on the courses taken outside the School of Biological Sciences. There's information here kind of about making sure you are meeting prerequisites and requirements. But then when you click on this blue bar, it's going to take you to a search engine, like our own kind of in-house database. So you go to the next slide, you'll see what that looks like. So if you know that you are going to go to Korea for your study abroad at Yonsei University, then you can type it in here in the search bar, and it's going to show all the courses that have been previously petitioned for major credit. So you'll notice that this course here, biochemistry, was denied for Build 1 credit, but it can be repetitioned after this expires, which is fall 24. This course here, food biochemistry, was approved for a specific class that we offer here. So if you were to take this in Korea and transfer it, you would get credit for BIBC 120, as long as you took this class by the end of fall 23. So you'll see there's the expiration date. And so it's really important to look at the entire row, because this class here, even though it was approved for BIBC 120, most of you are not there right now or have not done this in the past. So if you were to take this next quarter in winter 24, you would need to submit a new petition to get this reapproved. So if you go to the next slide, it will show kind of like just like a breakdown of what this could look like. So you got the course number and title, the program, where it was taken, and then what the UCSD biology credit you will receive. So this class was approved for biology elective through fall 22. So this class would need to be re-petitioned for major credit. Unfortunately, we cannot guarantee that it'll be approved, but the nice thing is that you can submit petitions before you go abroad. And we'll go over kind of the petition process in a little bit. I think that might be the next slide. So first, just to make sure you know whether you even can petition a course, it needs to be UC transferable, upper division, taken for a letter grade, and you must still be able to meet the biology residency requirement, which is 20 upper division units taken at UCSD through the School of Biological Sciences. So that is 5 of those 12 upper division courses need to be taken here. So as long as you can meet that requirement, then you're able to apply these courses to your major. Now the next slide, I believe, is the petition process. Yes, awesome. So when using that search engine, which is connected to our database, you'll find that the course that you want to take is not there, for example. And so what you will do is you'll need to collect the information about that course and then submit it through our petition process to have it reviewed by biology faculty or the education committee to determine whether or not you can receive credit for that. So I highly recommend submitting petitions before you go abroad if it needs a petition, just so you don't take a class and then it turns out that you can't get credit for it. So like it says here, get the syllabus, class lecture notes, paper exams, reading lists. If you can't get any of this information and you really just need to wait until after you take the class, that's okay too. Just know that it's not guaranteed that it'll get approved. And petitions do take approximately 4 to 5 weeks to be reviewed. And yeah, again, you need to be able to complete the biology residency requirement. The next slide, we should have our undergraduate petition page. And so this is just going to give you, we'll try to link this in the chat, but this is going to just give you all the information you'll need to know about how petition submission works for biology. Over here on the right side, you'll see what the petition actually looks like. If you have any questions when filling out the petition, feel free to come in to walk in or drop an advising, send us a back message. We're always here to assist with these kinds of processes. And so if you go to the next slide, you'll see our advising services page. I'll put a link to this in the chat as well. So, this first tab, ask a question, you can just send us a back message. We have in-person and online, like fast 15-minute drop-in advising if you have questions. And then we also have scheduled appointments for long-term planning. So a lot of you who want to study abroad, I'd highly recommend scheduling an appointment because we'll make a long-term plan for you and review that with you during that meeting. And then there's also information about how to actually submit the form after you fill it out on this page. So this is a great, very useful page. Bookmark this, please. If you ever need anything, you can find how to get your answers here.
Okay.
And then back to Rach.
My turn again. So if you're a first year student, you're probably not looking at applying to go your second year, although there are some programs like global seminars. We have a lot of students go on global seminars between their first and second year. But if you're thinking about studying abroad a little bit later in your time at UCSD, you're not going to be applying in this coming cycle. However, if you're thinking about applying for summer 2024, fall 2024, spring 2025, or the academic year, this is your application deadline season. And so I provided a little image here of how to apply page. It gives you instructions when you expand the drawers. So if you decide you're interested in UCAP, you would expand that drawer, and we have step-by-step instructions on how to apply. I also wanted to mention if you're just starting out in the whole process, I've given you a lot of information, but we do have a get started course in Canvas that's going to go into even more specifics, including academics, the cost, the financial aid, all of that. So if you haven't done the get started course, I would encourage you to access it through our website. You can get to it on our homepage and do that course. There's no credit associated with it. It's not going to take you very long. If you're planning on applying for like that 2024 to 2025 program, like you're looking at going, next year, you'll want to create a Triton's Abroad account. That is our application management system, and you'll access it again on our homepage. And then I know I've said this multiple times throughout the presentation. Access our website. We have so much information out there for you, including videos and academic planning resources, just a lot of information. And then if you have any follow-up questions, you can reach out to us in the VAC. Someone asked a question, what is the VAC? It's the Virtual Advising Center. It's how we communicate with students on campus. I know Brian mentioned the VAC. It's really in your favor to communicate through the VAC, because we can see when you submitted that question. And when I answer that question, if Brian is then meeting with you about study abroad, he can see what we talked about. So it creates a accountability on campus, and it allows us to also support one another when we're advising students. So we can see what you've come to us for. So use the VAC. And then we also offer drop-in advising, and drop-in advising is offered 3 times a week, Monday, Tuesday, and Friday. Or I'm sorry, Monday and Thursday afternoons and Friday mornings. The times will be on our website under advising services. You will access our drop-in advising through the VAC, I think similar to bio, right, Brian? That's how they come to drop-ins, through VAC. Okay. So you're going to get to know the VAC pretty well. And we're doing drop-in advising only. If you need a longer appointment, like a 30-minute appointment, we'll then schedule one for you. If you're interested in global exchange, my colleague who is in charge of global exchange programs, she's at drop-in advising on Thursdays only. So you can come and meet with her if you have specific global exchange questions. And then Eduardo, our financial aid advisor, he is only at drop-in advising on Fridays. So if in the morning, so if you have specific financial aid questions, you can come to drop in on Friday and talk to him. But the VAC's open 24/7, so you can always send a message that way too. So that is it for us. Thank you so much for attending and taking time away from your studies and whatever else you've been up to in week 2. And we're happy to answer any questions. I have been answering questions. Oh, it looks like I said you. Why you? We're going to fix that for next time. But we're happy to answer any questions. I'm going to go ahead and stop recording.